Well. It's amazing what one game can do. The Dallas Cowboys were the talk of the league, not going to sign Dak Prescott. The CeeDee Lamb contract is crazy. The offensive line, what is Mike Zimmer's defense going to do? The Dallas Cowboys were actually power ranked number 19. They were 2.5 points underdogs going into Cleveland. It's amazing what a couple of signings and a beatdown of the Cleveland Browns does to change the mind of many as it pertains to the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to give you my 7 takeaways from the Dallas Cowboys of the Cleveland Browns. Let's talk Cowboys. We're about to talk facts. Welcome, Cowboy fans and Cowboy haters alike. I'm the G, and I'm the host of Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. Let's talk facts. It's amazing how one game changes the mind of many on the perspective of the Dallas Cowboys. And it looks like, if you look back at some of my previous videos, pretty much right about Jerry Jones. Built up the drama with CeeDee Lamb, signed him. Built up the drama until the 9th hour with Dak Prescott, winded up signing him. And not only signing him, but signing him to the largest deal in NFL history. And I truly believe that Dak Prescott is going to pay dividends on that deal. Jerry has done something for Dak Prescott that, to me, he hasn't done since Dak Prescott has been there. Dak Prescott got a defense, and oh man, it is going to be problems for the NFL. But I don't want to just give everything away in the summary. What I want to do is I'm going to go through 7 takeaways from the Dallas Cowboys beating down the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland. Takeaway number 1, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott got paid. Dak Prescott finally got paid. There's no more talk about Dak Prescott and the contract, and it's no longer a distraction. I don't care what anyone says. Dak even said it in his press conference after the game that he was glad to get all of the contract talk behind them so that they could focus on football. Even CeeDee Lamb alluded to, now we can focus on football. Micah Parsons, we can focus on football. No one wants to deal with contracts during the season, and this was a great move by Jerry Jones. I'd like to call our attention to something that Bola VIP posted, and let's see if we can get this on the screen. And I want you to see what Dak Prescott said. It says, a few weeks ago, Jordan Love and Trevor Lawrence joined Joe Burrow at $55 million annually. Dak Prescott's better than all of them. This was Dak's message about the new responsibility and how he feels towards Jerry Jones. My only motivation is to hold up my part of this deal, win a Super Bowl. Just deliver that. I put the most pressure on myself. Simple as that. That's my motivation. That's what pushes me. Nobody is a bigger critic than I am personally. I expect greatness out of myself. There's no added pressure. I wanted to be a Cowboy. I wanted to stay a Cowboy, not thinking about anywhere else. I understand the business. I didn't take anything personal from Jerry Jones. I wasn't upset. I wouldn't have been upset if it didn't get done. Dak Prescott is letting us know something. He doesn't take it personal. He understands it's a business. But he's also saying something else. But it's also about respect. Dak Prescott has been phenomenal, short of the playoffs. And even in those playoffs, it wasn't just Dak who lost those playoffs. Dak deserves every penny of that money that he got. And I believe that Dak has really put some pressure on himself because that's how he likes to live his life. He's already said it. He likes to live in the moment, and he wants everybody around him to embrace those same things. So I'm so happy about Dak Prescott. He got his money. Dak got his money. And I want to turn our attention to something else. I want to kind of look at the box score. I want you to look at Dak Prescott's box score. If I would have told you Dak Prescott was going to go 19 of 32, 179 yards, and 1 touchdown, you would think the Dallas Cowboys lost that game. But the Dallas Cowboys, with that box score, beat the brakes off the Cleveland Browns 33-17. And my takeaways as it pertains to Dak Prescott, and then I'll go to the next point. Keep in mind, Dak Prescott didn't play one down in the preseason. CeeDee Lamb, not one down in the preseason. A lot of these guys were playing for the first time together in this game. And so in the first game, they beat the Cleveland Browns 33-17. This is Dak's box score, and they won the game. Don't you worry. Last year, after about game number 3 or 4, Dak and CeeDee Lamb took off. I'm expecting the same thing this year, but a little bit quicker. I think at home, Dak and CeeDee Lamb and this entire Dallas offense is really going to take off. And I think the Cowboys, who went from, I think, 19 to number 9 on the power ranks, I think we're going to watch. I think we're about to watch the Dallas Cowboys, not just in the power rankings. I think we are about to see the Dallas Cowboys make another step. But it's one game at a time. Takeaway number 2. Takeaway number 2, the Dallas running game. This was one of the things that I said was something to watch in the game coming up. And what I am most impressed with, if we look at the box score, Ezekiel Elliott, 10 carries, 40 yards. And when you think about it, Zeke was really, Zeke did a great job. He looked different. Zeke had a spring in his step. He looked a lot more slimmer. He was running. He was running with some finesse. He was running with some power. And so, Zeke looked extremely good. I was impressed. Rico Dowdle, 8 for 26. CeeDee Lamb, 3 for 25. Brandon Cooks, 1 for 5. When you look at that, they got their 100-yard rushing game. Deuce Vaughn, 4 yards. Dak Prescott, 3. The Dallas Cowboys running game, running back by committee, I was very satisfied. And I'd like for us for a moment to just look at a couple of highlights from Ezekiel Elliott.
He's got a decent 33 here. They're going to give on the ground to Elliott. Big hole, and he's got a first down. Up to the 25 is out there, and let your guys make some plays. Pressure.
This is exactly what I was expecting from Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott, even though he's probably not going to run for 100 yards in a lot of games, but what he's bringing to the Cowboys, he brought 40 yards rushing. And let's look at this again, box score. He bought 40 yards of rushing. Then when you look at him on the receiving end, he brought another 9 yards. He also got 1 TD, short yardage. This is where the Cowboys suffered last year. So Zeke is kind of doing a lot of the things that we need. And if you look at how they pass protected Dak Prescott, Zeke chipping coming out of the backfield. Zeke was helping with some of the double teams on Myles Garrett and others. Zeke just fits into the system that the Cowboys have. He does. He's a huge asset. And so my takeaway number 2 was the running game. Rico Dowdle, he looked pretty good, but I'm really wanting to see. I want to see what Dalvin Cook has. I think Dalvin Cook could be the 1-2 punch. I'm really interested to see what he does. Deuce Vaughn, I think he only had 4 yards on 1 carry. Didn't give him a chance to really get going. But I'm really hoping they bring Dalvin Cook up from the practice squad, and then you can run with Zeke, Dalvin Cook, and Rico Dowdle, and maybe maybe we have Deuce Vaughn on the special teams, which special teams are looking really strong too. But that's my takeaway to number 2. The Dallas Cowboys, they do have a running game. I want to see how this develops going further into the season. Takeaway number 3, the wide receivers. Now, when we think about the wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb is just CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb was doing CeeDee Lamb stuff. We don't have to worry about CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is going to do CeeDee Lamb stuff. And keep in mind, no training camp, no preseason. We're not worried about CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is going to do CeeDee Lamb stuff. Now, where I am concerned is, I talked about in the video that Jalen Tolbert is one of the most important receivers on the Cowboys this year. And I'm starting to wonder about Jalen Tolbert. Jalen Tolbert, he caught, I think, let's see here. Jalen Tolbert was 2 for 12. Brooks did better than him with 1 pass. So I'm a little bit concerned about Tolbert because the Cowboys really need Tolbert to pan out. I mean, he was a 3rd-round draft pick. This is his year to shine. I mean, I think he was one of the players that Dak Prescott was talking about when he was talking about Jerry going all in and giving some players an opportunity who there was some players in front of them where they could not play. Well, this is who he's talking about. Jalen Tolbert was behind it. My mind loses me right. I mean, it doesn't come to my mind right now, but the receiver who retired. I mean, this is his time to shine. He's got to really step up and take that second wide receiver. I mean, the 3rd wide receiver spot is what it really is, because I think the reality is, I think Brandon Cooks is going to have a monster season. I really do. I think Brandon Cooks is going to literally have a monster season. I believe that Dak Prescott and Brandon Cooks, they developed a chemistry during the time when CeeDee Lamb was out in training camp. And I really believe that Brandon Cooks is going to be a better number 2 receiver with 2 years with Dak and in this system. I think he's going to be an absolute monster. And so that leaves Jalen Tolbert. He's either going to have to step up, or we're going to not only see Brooks get more time at that number 2 spot, on that outside receiver spot, we're going to probably see Flournoy, and that's who I'm excited to see. I'm really excited to see Flournoy to get a chance to be that, maybe that 3rd receiver. And we did get good news about Ferguson. It looks like he's not going for the season. I think they said it's a sprained MCL, so he will be back. But I do think the Cowboys got a little bit of depth. It's time for Schumacher to step up too. I mean, I think they spent a 3rd-round draft pick on him, if not a 2nd, but I think it was a 3rd. It's time for him to step up. Ferguson is hurt. Now it's your time to show us that you are, that you can make this team, not only make this team, but you can be a force on this team. Takeaway number 4 is the offensive line. The offensive line looked pretty good for it to be. I think this was I'm sure this was the first time playing together, and they played together really well, especially against the pass rush like the Cleveland Browns. I mean, Myles Garrett was giving them problems all day long. And so Tyler Guyton, for the most part, he did pretty well.
Myles Garrett punched it out on your cue, but Dallas recovered.
While he didn't necessarily have an extremely successful day against Myles Garrett, he held his own. He held his own in some spots. And so when Myles Garrett is what you got to go up against, everyone else, I'm not saying they're going to be a piece of cake, but they are definitely not going to be Myles Garrett. So this offensive line is going to be the key to a lot of things the Cowboys are going to do this season. I mean, the running game looked pretty good. I think it'll get better as this offensive line begins to get more playing time together in real time. And I'm looking forward to Dalvin Cook being moved up. And I think that Dak Prescott is going to have a running game despite what a lot of us may believe, because I mean, after looking at Derrick Henry with the Baltimore Ravens, I'm kind of wondering, like, you know, what does he have left in the tank? So what we have, it just might be good enough, especially if we can get that extra burst out of Dalvin Cook. Takeaway number 5. Dallas's defense is insane. It's only one game. And I want to just... The defense looks night and day differently than Dan Quinn. Because to me, Dan Quinn's defense was predicated upon speed and turnovers. Speed and turnovers. And so what Dan Quinn liked to do is get a defense in a passing situation so that his defense could feast. But unfortunately, that meant that you always needed to have a lead, or at least be even with the team, because once you got behind and then that team started running, Dan Quinn's defense was done. And if that team could run, Dan Quinn's defense was done from the beginning because they were not situated to stop the run. But when we look at this Dallas defense, wow. They addressed the defensive line. Great job there. But what I'm most impressed with is the linebacking core when you talk about Kendricks and Overshawn being added to that mix. Both of them are great. And this kid Overshawn, absolute star. Let's look at a couple of clips.
This guy deals with more double teams than anyone. Gets the chip. Jones got him. He's just too athletic to get underneath Teller to the middle of the pocket. This is what you deal with when you're a great rusher. And the only way to overcome.
That was one of my other questions about this game was Zimmer's defense. It's great. Didn't see a lot of blitzing. Just pure, unadulterated, the defensive line just being aggressive. Doing something that Dan Quinn didn't do last year, disguising where Michael Parsons is coming from and when he's coming. And I will say he didn't have this linebacking core. Jerry, I'll give him credit. They got a linebacking core. They have a linebacking core that is extremely good. So Dallas's defense, I'm very interested to see where will they rank after where will they rank after this week, because I can tell you right now, if this defense keeps doing what it's doing right now, top 5 defense. So, hey, you know what? Takeaway for sure, number 5. Mike Zimmer's defense, on point. And that brings me to number 6, and I don't really have any clips on it. But what I was really impressed with was Kalen Carson. He was one of my questions last week when I was talking about questions about the game. He answered. Kalen Carson held his own against Deshaun Watson and that Cleveland Brown offense. And it helped a lot that Deshaun Watson barely had time to breathe back there. But even when Deshaun Watson got time, Carson held his own. Carson held his own against whoever was in front of him. No big plays. I mean, he really played. I mean, once again, Cowboys have done it again. They have found him another cornerback like they did to Ron Bland. They have found them, it seems, another superstar cornerback. So I cannot wait for Carson, Bland, Diggs to be back on the field. Yep, Diggs is back too. Looked extremely good, moving really well. So as it applies to the Dallas Cowboys and their cornerback situation. I thought I was a little bit concerned, but everything we saw on Sunday, the cornerback situation, it's all good. It's all good. I think we'll be fine. Takeaway number 7. Something that people better be concerned with. Takeaway number 7. The Dallas Cowboys special teams is special. The Dallas Cowboys special teams is special, and they're going to not only win some games, they're going to break some games wide open like they did this one. Brandon Aubrey, I wish they would have let him kick that 71-yard field goal. I believe he would have made it. I believe he would have made it easily. The 66-yarder, which would have tied the longest field goal in history, he made it with yards to spare, but a penalty called it back. And they should have let him kick it again, because I believe he makes the 71-yarder. But Dallas' special teams is special. And with the new kickoff rules, the Dallas Cowboys are going to have great field position because Turpin. This was one of my favorite plays of the game, and it broke the game wide open. I'm telling us, the Cowboys special teams is special. I mean, they are going to make a difference in some of the games coming up this season. So Cowboys look like right now, just one game. We don't want to run to the Super Bowl, but they have all 3 phases of the game now. Mike McCarthy's offense sputtered a little bit, but I think it's the first game. They're all together, and I think what happened to them, they saw how they were pretty much up by the half. It was pretty much, by halftime, it was 20-3. And it's like they started sputtering a little bit, but at the same time, I'm not concerned. I think as the season goes on, they're going to crank it up. McCarthy's offense, not worried. The defense. Mike Zimmer is doing something that Dan Quinn couldn't. He can stop the run. Not only can he stop the run, he can literally stop teams from scoring. And yes, he can still get the turnovers. Number 3, not only now do we have Brandon Aubrey, these new kickoff rules. Turpin is looking great. He's looking great. And so this Dallas team, it's doing it in all 3 phases. We got these contracts behind us, and now everyone's focusing on football. And so that's my 7 takeaways this week for the Dallas Cowboys against the Cleveland Browns. 1, Dak Prescott got his contract, looking good. The team can now focus. The offense, not worried. They're going to be great. Number 2, the running game. Even though Zeke didn't run 100 yards, we got 100 yards rushing with a combined effort. Zeke looked great. Zeke looked a lot faster. Short yardage is what we got him for anyway. He's great short yardage. Already got us a touchdown. Great with the blocking schemes. He's great coming out of the backfield catching passes. Rico looked pretty good, but I want to see what Dalvin Cook looks like, and I think this running game is then going to be off to the races. Tyler Guyton, my takeaway number 3, the offensive line, it's progressing. I was satisfied with the fact that they schemed ways to stop Myles Garrett, and they were able to keep the Cleveland Browns at bay with that great pass rush they have. So the offensive line, it's only going to get good or get better going forward. So no problems with the offensive line. We're good. Number 4, the wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb, gonna do CeeDee Lamb things, not worried. Very impressed. Brandon Cooks looks like he's headed for a monster year. Still waiting on Jalen Tolbert, and I'm hoping that maybe we'll start working Flanoy in some this season. Then when we think about the defensive side of the ball, number 5, Michael Parsons, man, he doing Michael Parsons things. Nothing to worry about with Michael Parsons, and with the additions, with their linebacking core, Overshawn's a beast. Kendricks looks great. D-Law looks revitalized. He's got pieces around him. People have forgotten about him. They're trying to block everyone else. D-Law, 2 sacks. He's going to eat. The cornerback situation, takeaway number 6, Kalen Brooks. Yes, Kalen Brooks, he looks good enough, and I think he's better than good enough. He is another superstar cornerback the Cowboys have found in a later round. He's going to produce dividends for us. And so looking forward to when Deron Bland gets back, this Dallas secondary is going to be looking very, very, very good. And finally, number 7, I think it's the part that people do not understand. It is going to be absolutely fantastic. The Dallas Cowboys special teams is special. Brandon Aubrey, he can kick it from he can kick it from the parking lot and make it. Not only that, Vontae Turpin looking very good. Finally got him a touchdown from punt return. So looking forward to more touchdowns and field position from Vontae Turpin on kickoffs and punts. So that's going to do it for me. That's going to be my time. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this with others. And let them know there's a channel where we talk Cowboys. Let's talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. Till next time, peace.